those lights, hear the anthem ring. Get your glove and your favorite hat. On deck with Russ now, how about that? On deck, it's time to play. Russ takes us through the game today. From the dugout to the final score. Baseball fever we all adore.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode on deck here on FTSN. Sorry, the new song kind of threw me off when I was looking down, sending a text message, and then I heard the new song, so it took me a little by surprise, but it's definitely a change. It was nice, but I want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight. Sammy running a little late. He's going to try to make it on. We'll jump on whenever he makes it in. Unfortunately, Josh Wingate wasn't feeling that great, and Alex couldn't make it tonight. So whenever Sammy can come, we'll get him on to talk a little baseball. But trade deadline right around the corner, which is Monday. Definitely going to be a big one. It's a lot of big questions. Who's all in? As you can see, Dodgers, Yankees, Braves, Phillies, Brewers, Cubs, Rays are there, but those are some of them. Some big sellers, Surprisingly, the Mets, which after all the money they spent, see what they deal. Rockies obviously won. They got some players who Hunter Goodman being one will beat some interest. Giants, Buster Posey's first year president of baseball operations, but they got some guys on longer term deals they're trying to get rid of. Some guys on expiring deals. That they're would like to. Posey's trying to turn over a new leaf, so they definitely get it. Which GM I think is under the most pressure? I think Jed Hoyer's kind of under. I mean, me being a Yankees fan, obviously, I think Brian Cashman's under a lot of pressure to get it done. I think baseball is just past him nowadays. I think he's under a lot of pressure, but me, not winning since 2009 in this last 2 decades, I'm done with him. I hope they would start fresh, but I don't think that'll ever happen. But I mean, I think the Cubs, Jed Hoyer's kind of under the most pressure. Definitely want to narrow that gap to become a legit NL contender. Definitely got to add. Brewers are kind of running away with it. 6.5 up right now? 5.5. 5 games in the loss column. So I definitely think they got to do something, make a big splash in this deadline. Some of the biggest buyers, obviously the Dodgers. What do they need? Relief pitching, right-handed outfielder, utility infielder, and honestly starting pitching because the Dodgers are unsure on if Ohtani can pitch again. What's his timeline? Yankees, relief pitching is a must. Catcher is a must. Infielders a must, and they're getting hit with the injury bug. Judge is obviously down. They don't know a timeline when he'll be back. Bellinger is down with the hamstring 4 to 6 weeks. They got some, but I think when you're looking at it, relief pitching and catching is a must. You gotta add a catcher. And Infield's all hinge on the Yankees is whenever if they do want to bring up Lombard, I think you got to add relief and catcher. Braves outfield, they need to add outfield depth. You need pen depth, and possibly add another starting pitching would be big for them. Phillies would be, adding bench depth, possibly adding a starting pitcher and a right-handed outfielder. Brewers third base, starting pitcher, and the pen. I think they definitely need someone after Mizorowski. Getting good from Kyle Harrison, but Harrison's starting to look. Let me see what he started off hot, but pitching staff. I mean, now he's 8-2. Never mind, 3.01 ERA. But they really, Sproat hasn't really done it. Minus those two. Cubs starting pitching for the Cubs. I mean, you lose. You got Imanaga, you got Boyd, Cabrera on the IL, Ben Brown on the IL. That's definitely not a playoff rotation. Definitely need to add another starting pitcher. And there's some names. Rays, middle of the order bat, coordinator infielder, starting pitching relief. Big surprise team with the Rays. Best record in the American League, 62-44. 2 games up on the Yankees. Maybe let's go, realistic target, dream target. I think a dream target for the Dodgers. They probably have 2 dream targets they don't need would be Mason Miller. That's not going to happen with the Dodgers. The Padres are never going to trade Mason Miller to the Dodgers. Tarek Skubal would also be a dream. Realistic for them would be getting a utility guy, maybe a Taylor Ward. Would be a dream fit for them. Outfield bat. Also trying to add a utility guy. I don't got a utility guy off the top of my head. I think for the Yankees, a dream would be Tarek Skubal. I don't think it's happening. I don't think they need Tarek Skubal. I mean, that'd form the best starting row pitching in baseball, and I can only imagine, you going up against Skubal, Schlittler, Fried, Cole, and then Rodon as your last guy. I think Mason Miller is one to watch, but I don't think the Yankees have the pieces that the Padres want. They want MLB ready starting pitching and prospects for Miller. I don't think the Yankees I don't think you're going to have to include Will Warren if you want to get something for Mason Miller. I don't see that happening. Realistic for them would be Tarek Skubal would be a dream. I don't see that happening, but unless the price really comes down. But with a team like the Dodgers in there, I don't see it happening. The Dodgers have a lot of top 100 prospects that they can deal from with DePaula, with Soroka, with Quintero, Morales, Zaire Hope. I don't see the Yankees having the prospect haul, even though it's not going to be as big because he's on an expiring contract. I don't see them being able to match what the Dodgers can give. For the Cubs, dream would be Skubal, obviously, and I think that would they definitely have the prospects to get it done. The top end prospects, so you're going to definitely have to give up a couple top end prospects to get Tarek Skubal. they definitely have enough ammo to get that done. I'm leaning towards my realistic. Maybe a Freddie Peralta would be a very good fit for the Cubs. For the Brewers, I think obviously Skubal's number one. I think if you look at pitching, I mean, you're pitching. I think Skubal's on a lot of these guys' list, but pitching wise, maybe a Joe Ryan. But it's been informed that the Twins would rather be buyers than sellers. Maybe a Michael Wacha would definitely give you postseason experience. Or a Seth Lugo there, I think, would be two good fits. Also, the Brewers need third base help. Eugenio Suarez with the Reds there would be probably a great fit for them. The Rays, I got a couple. I don't see them going out and getting Skubal. I don't think the Rays want to deal. Well, Tampa Bay Rays. Let me see. I think it's Emilio. I think you're going to have to offer Theo Gillen. I don't think they want to do that. So I don't see the Skubal happening, but I think that's a dream for them. I would go with more them, Luis Arraez being realistic, and Taylor Ward. Phillies, I think their dream would be Mason Miller. I mean, that would make the nastiest 8-9 combo, whichever way you want to put it, with Johan Duran and Mason Miller. I do think Taylor Ward is one. I do think Taylor Ward is a name you could definitely see there. If you're going on the starter and pitching side for the Phillies, Robbie Ray, Seth Lugo, maybe a Reed Detmers has been getting a lot of interest from both the Cubs and the White Sox. I think that for the White Sox, Reed Detmers would be a good fit for the White Sox. Luis Roberts would be one for them. Would be another one to watch. And possibly if you're adding a starting pitching, Freddie Peralta. Who needs frontline starters? Braves, Brewers, Cubs. I think they definitely. So, Braves, Brewers, Cubs. And I mean, if either one can have the prospects to get a Derek Skubal, I think everybody on this list, basically everybody needs bullpen help. Two names I'm watching in the bullpen are both with the Marlins, which they said they're not. The Marlins said they're not going to be buyers or big-time sellers. Would be two names, Peter Fairbanks and Anthony Bender with the Marlins. What can they get back for them? Those are two high-leverage bullpen arms on very manageable deals that you might be able to get a prospect haul. Biggest name on the market, that's Tarek Skubal and Mason Miller. I don't know. I'm really kind of in between on Mason, on Tarek Skubal getting traded, going back to when Ohtani was in his last year with the Angels, that they didn't ship him off. I think if you kind of look at the AL Central, I mean, the Tigers are still only 51-58 right now, 7 games back. I still think the AL Central is kind of up for grabs. that it can happen. A lot of rumors gaining some significant traction. Freddie Peralta is drawing significant interest from the Rays. I think that'd be a really great fit for the Rays that you add Freddie Peralta. That's a frontline starter. You have the prospects to get it done, and you won't have to give up your number one overall prospect for Freddie Peralta. Maybe a Caden Bonine would be, the one name who would get it done. I don't know where Mason. I'm really kind of split in the middle on where Mason Miller will go because the Dodgers will not be in. There's no way the Padres are trading Mason Miller to the Dodgers. We'll see what's happening with the Marlins. They've been fielding calls on Otto Lopez, Xavier Edwards, and Liam Hicks, and Herb Hernandez. I don't see them trading Otto Lopez or Xavier Edwards. I think that's just a GM just doing their job, that they're fielding calls, see what the best. I do not see that happening at all. Liam Hicks is an interesting one as the being a catcher DH. The starting catching market for during the trade deadline is not that heavy. I mean, you've got I can't remember his name from the Cardinals guy. I mean, you've got Hunter Goodman, Cardinals catcher. Ivan Herrera, catcher DH. You also got Hunter Goodman, but he's got 3 years of control. So that's going to be a tough one to get. And you got Ryan Jeffers. So Liam Hicks is an interesting one. Guy who's kind of fell out of, doesn't have a catcher spot. They're definitely loaded. Lost Max, solidified that for the near future. So, I mean, I think that's an interesting. Liam Hicks is definitely a guy who you could capitalize on Liam Hicks. I just don't know where they're going. I mean, right now they're 2 games out of the last wild card. Did have a 12-game losing streak, but did just sweep the Phillies. So, I mean, you got the 12-game losing streak. You did sweep the Phillies. Sounds like they're holding on to their big guys and don't want to make significant trades. But I think, if you're the Marlins, you try to trade off those guys on expiring contracts. Liam Hicks kind of running out of spots to play. He might be the starting catching market is then with Ryan Jeffers probably being the number one with Hunter Goodman. I see less and less likely because of his control that they might be able to flip and get some a decent prospect haul. Also with the Angels, I think the Angels is interesting. You got Reed Detmers, guy who could throw in the pen, who could be a starter. Also, you got Jose Soriano. I mean, now we're both White Sox definitely right now 3 games up in the loss column. We'll say they're playing the Yankees right now down 4-0 in the top of the third. Reed Detmers would be a solid pick because I don't see the White Sox making serious noise in the AL, but that's definitely an addition that can help them out during the playoff run. I don't think they'd be a World Series contender. But definitely need to add pitching. Jose Soriano is another one, a ground ball pitcher. You want to be a ground ball team with the Angels. Maybe they try to capitalize on that, and I think the Angels need to start it over, not just sell the team, but start it over, start fresh because it's not going good. And I've said, being a guy from Los Angeles, and I went to a lot of Angel games as a kid. I was lucky enough, growing up, my best friend had Angel season tickets, so I got to go to a lot of games. Angel Stadium's beautiful. Orange County, easy in and out. You're in Anaheim. You're close to everything. Whoa, chair's not the best. Sorry. Close to everything. Disneyland's right there. Anaheim's right there. A lot of stuff to do right there. Fullerton's right there. You're still close to Los Angeles. A great stadium, great environment, beautiful place to watch a ball game. But I think first off, Art Moreno's got to sell the team. So that's where I go from there. But I think they need to start over. Reed Detmers would be one.
Hey,
Sammy, how we doing?
How you doing, brother?
Sorry
for the delay. You're on business, but yeah.
It's all good.
You can have my guess. Awesome.
It's all good. You're on. As Alex said, Hispanic people time.
On Puerto Rican time, on Cuban time, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I think Cuban time. I think is pretty good. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think it's pretty good. Puerto Rican time, not so much. But I'm usually very punctual. But I have
to. No. It's all good. I want to welcome in Finch Sammy from Finch TV, and also doing work here on FTSN to join for a little trade deadline special. So
absolutely.
I already started, obviously, but obviously, who's all in? My big six: Dodgers, Yankees, Braves, Phillies, Brewers, Cubs, Raves. You got a GM? I know baseball, so this might, but you got to be locked in. Do you have a GM who might be under the most pressure right now to make a big splash? Or a team, let's say a team. The GM might be a little harder. Just a team that's really got to make a big splash at this deadline.
They started fast, but if you remember last time we talked, I said I hope I don't jinx them. I didn't. They keep playing very, very well after we do our show together. But those injuries are playing hard. Acuna, is the MVP candidate. Every game he plays, he's the MVP of the Atlanta Braves. So they play without Acuna. They had a lot of injuries. It's no excuse, but the way Walt Weiss started the season, he went all in. He wanted to win every single game. And at first it really worked, but by now, I think that they're basically a little bit tired. I think that they have burned maybe too early, too fast. The Braves are usually being very successful when they come from behind. Usually know what they're in front. The times they've been successful in the postseason, the times they win championships, the times they won division championships, usually they're trailing by 3, 5, 6 games or whatever, and they find a way to come back and make that search, and find a way to win the division. I think the one time I think the year they won the World Series, I'm not mistaken, or one of those years, they won the division. They never led all season. They only won the division and led the division the last game of the season. So the Braves are usually a team that are better coming from behind, playing, being the underdog. The fast start, of course, it was very beneficial because when you're a new manager, you want to establish yourself as you know what you're doing. Wise wasn't the first choice for many Braves fans, and that has something to do with it. So I think that he went on to a good start, but right now the injuries, and I think they're a little bit tired. It's not only the pressure on the general manager; it's also the pressure on the manager right now because he has to find a way to make this team work. To that second part of the season, the Phillies are playing very, very well. As many expected to, basically everybody I saw expected the Phillies to win the division. So it's not a surprise that basically the Phillies, you have the force that the buyers, they should be making some moves because they were expected to be one of those teams that be division contenders and of course World Series contenders. Dodgers are still the best team in the National League and the powerhouse of the National League. But the Phillies was expected to be the second one. So the Braves kind of are a surprise. We have forgotten by now that the Braves are kind of a surprise with the start they had. But it's going to be interesting. But the Braves are not a team that usually stand pat at the deadline. They find a way that when they won the World Series, they traded for Soler, did another moves, and they find a way. Those played very, very, very well in 2001, and they won the World Series. So I don't know. The farm system is as strong as it used to be. So those moves have to be more conscious, or be probably better. I see some crazy moves. We all fans. Football happens too. So crazy moves. A very start. Also, I think Trout was one of them that I saw they wanted. Vice wanted to trade for Trout. I'd say that's kind of crazy. That's not going to happen. But that happens. The fandom is usually that way. So it's going to be interesting. What if they do something? I don't think the general manager is as much of pressure as we think. Basically, from the team, but the fan base, yes. Because when you start that hot and you basically, Jurassic Park when you do that scene when objects are closer than they appear. Now they're losing that mirror and they see the Phillies back there, and they lost a couple to the Mets, and the pressure is on. So we have to wait and see.
Yeah. Well, all right. I know if you go on ESPN standings, it says Braves are up 6 games, but the Braves have 45 losses. Phillies got 52. That's not 6 games. I'm sorry. It's at the end of the day, everybody plays 160.
That's the way I see it. I see it exactly your way. I don't say I never go to the games behind. I go to the losses.
The last column is all that matters. There's 7 games up. I'm
with you. Absolutely.
I do want to give a congrats because I'm sure Saturday was a big day for Sammy. Not only Andrew Jones gets in the Hall of Fame, but you get number 6, the 6th doll from the island from Puerto Rico. Carlos Beltran finally gets in, and I'm sure it was a very happy day for everybody on the island when Beltran finally got the Hall of Fame nod.
Yeah. And the career Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones is so comparable, right? Basically the same numbers. They have so many numbers that compare to one another. I think the numbers are incredibly close. So they had a lot of respect for each other. I saw an interview of them talking about each other. They had a lot of respect for each other. For some reason, Carlos Beltran, probably because the way the career, the teams he played for, is seen as probably a better player, a more important player. But Andrew Jones, basically, he changed the game in so many ways. The defense is incomparable. There's no way that's something that Andrew Jones is so much better than Beltran. So very, very proud Andrew Jones. It seems incredible when you see the Andrew Jones I see right now as a mature man to that youngster to camp with, after Otis Nixon, after Matthias Grissom, after Deion Sanders, he found a way to command that center field for the Braves even better. Who would have thought even better? The steals, the defense, the power, the speed, unbelievable. So as a Braves fan, those teams were very special to our heart. So for us, we're very, very happy to see Andrew Jones in the Hall of Fame, and Carlos Beltran, of course. But a lot of people pride in Puerto Rico, so very proud of the. Every time a Puerto Rican gets into the Hall of Fame, Puerto Ricans are very prideful. And you see when you have an All-Star game lacking Puerto Ricans, nostalgia kicks in because it's gonna be a while. Who knows who's gonna be the next Hall of Famer from Puerto Rico right now? The style of Puerto Rican baseball in the major leagues is probably not the best. So it makes it even better to appreciate what Carlos Beltran did for Major League Baseball for Puerto Rico.
Well, I'm sure it was another excuse because I went to Maya West and I was there, and it a great time, unbelievable. I'd love to go back whenever I can. But it was there for 5 days, and Thursday and Friday. Oh well, we got a party this day. We got a party this day going on, and then I talked to the one person she's like, "Oh, Tuesday is off. It's this person. We got another, off day." I'm like, so just any type of excuse to just have a nice little fiesta. But yeah, Andrew Jones, obviously the first Hall of Famer from the island of Curacao. So and two guys, both those guys trying to get into managing. Obviously, Beltran had his issues with the Mets, with what went along with the Astros and their scandal, and now Andrew Jones,
Yes.
who coached the World Baseball Classic team for the Netherlands. So definitely two guys. Hopefully Beltran can get a shot. It's sounding like it's more positive now that he might be able to get a managerial job this time. If we do have baseball this time next year, let's pray we do. But I quickly for the Braves, I did, I gave out my picks. Do you have a dream target and then a realistic target you want on this deadline?
Not really, because basically, the injuries. I made this thing. If everybody was healthy with the Braves probably would need less help. Bullpen is always a question for the Braves because when they're successful, you need to get bullpen. That and the Braves, the way the Braves manage baseball in the postseason, they shorten the game. You can see a starter when the Braves playoff starts. You can see a starter basically playing, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 innings, and you need a relief pitcher for even 4 or 5 innings. So relief pitching is always a must for the Braves. Power, the Braves when playoff starts. Those bats usually go way too silent sometimes. So they had when they were the receivers, Soler made a huge contribution. So that kind of power, someone that kind of bat that might get hot for the postseason is always is something that always hit the Braves. So a name per se, no, but I would like to see power. I would like to see relief pitching because when the playoffs come, that's where you need your runs. The Braves needs the runs because bats usually go way too cold for the Braves. So that's something that always worries me.
I think that's you. The Braves and every other team wants relief pitching at the deadline. Can never have enough of that.
Yeah, pitching is like offensive line in football. You don't find offensive linemen, bargain hunting. You might get a lot of tickets, but that usually doesn't happen. The Braves has been very, very successful getting players that who never expected to play well. Guys that usually were supposed to be done. And they've come to the Braves and play very, very well, and they, give it a spark. But pitching is always a problem. I don't think pitching is as plentiful right now with so much expansion in Major League Baseball as it was in the 80s and even the 90s. So that's a problem, but that's a problem for every single team. Every single team wants more pitching. Every single team wants more bullpen. So it is what it is. So you might have to get lucky because again, you have to trade for someone, and you don't know if someone that comes to your team and it gets hurt, it works or not. So but pitching is always the key. The Braves have always done well when they find not only starting pitching, like I said, good bullpen pitching. So that would be a great a must if they have postseason plans.
Like you said, obviously, if you look at the Braves, I'm very skeptical on Tarek Skubal and Mason Miller getting traded this offseason. I think those would be 2 dream targets. I don't think my Yankees team has enough ammo to do it to get to either of them. We don't need Skubal. I think Mason Miller would kill in a lot of places, but unlike Skubal, he's got more years of control. Skubal's on an expiring deal. I go back to when I see Skubal is will they make the trade like when Ohtani was in his last year in Anaheim? It is the Anaheim Angels. It's not the Los Angeles Anaheim.
Oh, that
they're not even. I mean, it's close.
Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, right?
Yeah,
that's the way they say it.
Yeah. It's close, but they're still like an hour away, and they're in the city of Anaheim. But they did not trade him, and he left for free. I could see Skubal getting moved, and I really hope it's not the Dodgers. But the Dodgers have
it's always the Dodgers. It's always the Dodgers.
I will give. I hate them with a passion. I don't, but they have a very good scouting department and farm system that they can trade from that. And that's the reason you saw the Max Scherzer's back in the days, the Manny Machado's, getting Mookie Betts, who was a gift. I mean, they have a very strong farm system to get that done. Mason Miller's one, but the Padres are wanting MLB ready arms. So, like for the Yankees, I don't see that happening because they're going to want arms and prospects. And
everybody wants arms and props. Everyone's, that's bad teams usually get successful taking those chances. That pitcher, that young pitcher, comes to your team, you at least you have a hope, and basically you can flip it. If it doesn't work for you, you can flip it because everybody's looking for pitching. So that happens to all of us. Everybody wants pitching for a trade.
My realistic name for the Braves was Taylor Ward with the Orioles. Orioles are definitely starting to bottom out. So, right-handed power bat. He can play the outfield. He can DH. Orioles, 53 and 56 right now. Or a Reed Detmers with the Angels, nice-handed lefty relief pitcher. There's two names with the Marlins that I would really like. I don't see the Marlins trading in division with the Braves. That would be Peter Fairbanks and Anthony Bender. A starting pitcher obviously would be great for the Braves. I think Freddie Peralta is going to be, minus Scoob will be the top one. I don't see the Mets trading in division with the Braves.
They might. They might. The way they are right now, I will not pass the bet, but that's not going to be cheap. That's the problem. It's not going to be cheap for them.
Yeah, you'd get the in-division tax there too. Definitely a team that's bottomed out quick from all the money they've spent. I'm sure Juan Soto's kicking himself for taking an extra, $5 million to go to Queens, and now they're terrible. But I mean, I don't see it. Let's see.
The Braves have been lucky because, like I said, the Phillies were close. They were getting close, but they're in a slump right now. The last 10 games. That's basically the one thing that have saved the Braves.
I mean, they're lucky.
So the Phillies, they're gonna make a move because they were surging. They were close. I think it was 3 games, maybe 2. I don't know.
They got Phillies lost 2 out of 3 to the Yankees, and they just got swept by the Marlins, who will be an interesting team to watch, definitely, because I mean they've said they don't want to be buyers or sellers. Otto Lopez is one who's one of the best shortstops in baseball. Xavier Edwards. I think those are just 2 guys that you're doing your job fielding calls. I don't see that happening because they do have, it'd be 3.5 years of control on both of them. Liam Hicks is one. It's, the catcher market always, if you're in a market for a catcher, the catcher market, a starting catcher is always thin. I think they need to, if he's starting to run out of areas to play, it's DH or first base for him. I would try to flip that. But I think at least on the Braves side, everybody below the Braves are kind of beating each other up too. I mean, Phillies get really hot. I mean, they definitely need a starting pitcher.
Yeah, but like I said, Ross, everybody needs a starting pitcher because it is what it is. I mean, if you're gonna go into the postseason, those guys are good. The Yankees have always done very, very well looking for pitchers in the trade deadline. That's something you got going for you. And right now, the problem you have is now you have the Yankees of the National League basically doing what you used to do for so many years, Ross. It doesn't feel very good, does it? Because now you have the Dodgers doing what the Yankees do to all of us. So I've argued this. I argue this with the Dodgers and the Yankees, and I'll agree. From probably 2003 on, yes. But the Yankees were built around Derek Jeter, homegrown talent, Jorge Posada, homegrown talent, Bernie Williams, the best part of Simpson, absolutely.
So, I mean, Rivera, they 100% did, but the core 4 was built around homegrown talent. Can you name one guy on the Dodgers if you're not a diehard Dodger fan who's homegrown? And I've got 2. Who are now in the starting, lineup, but everybody else is a free agent acquisition. Now they've done a good job. Max Muncy was a guy they picked up and really turned him around. But I mean, Andy I think it's Pagas or Paganis. I don't know how to say his last name. The center fielder and Will Smith are the two guys. Freddie Freeman, signed.
Don't remind me.
Oh, but I really, I've got Freddie Freeman gives me nightmares too.
Yeah. Also has played very well, but he's not Freddie Freeman. No one is because Freddie. Freddie hurt.
A great guy. I'm sure it really hurt. I wonder when he gets into the Hall of Fame where he goes in, because even though he is from California and from that area, he has always said the Braves were his first love and wanted. But what he's done for Los Angeles. Obviously, I mean, that game one of the most memorable home runs in World Series.
Follow the money, Russ. If you can be an LA Dodger or Atlanta Brave, where's the money? The money is in LA. He's gonna be forever. Getting contracts, getting marketing contracts in LA, moving the money. He's gonna go as a Dodger. Usually that's the way things go.
I've had multiple conversations with people who are NL East fans. My dad's best friend's a Mets fan. And he goes, why you never walk to face Freddie Freeman? This guy's just an all-time MLB hitter. He doesn't try. I mean, if you watch him, yes, he hits home runs, but he's got gap. He tries to go gap to gap, and he knows he's got the power. I mean, that game haunts me. Could have changed everything, but I'm sure it was painful too for the Braves fans. Do you have a biggest name you think is going to get traded
right now?
In before Monday, any MLB in the MLB.
Well, basically, what everyone is saying what you're saying. Detroit is going to move Scott. Basically, you need buyers. You need a market for someone to get moved, and you can be a very, very good player, but you need competition. And I think the Dodgers are in it, and I think the Yankees are in it. That's the way I think it is. Yeah, that could be a betting war like you haven't seen in a while. I think both of them are gonna be into it. So when you have something like that, those kind of those teams buy for the same player, which I think it will happen. That's gonna get wild. I think Detroit is a great position. Hopefully that doesn't screw it up. Hopefully they find a way, to do that trade and to get the market, what the market brings, because Detroit, they cannot hold it together, right? Detroit has a good year every now and then, and they don't find a way to stay. And Detroit is one of those markets that I'm a Magnum fan. I'm a Magnum PI fan. I'm not a Detroit Tigers fan, but for me it was iconic because that Detroit had on Magnum used to be one of the most iconic things I ever seen. So I like what Detroit is doing good, but that usually doesn't happen. And Detroit is one of those cities that it's different with the teams that are playing well. So it will mean so much for them to have the Tigers playing well. But they have to find a way to get as much as they can, because it's not a small market. It's not one of the biggest market either. So they have young players. They have to find a way to do it. They have to do it quick.
Yeah, If you're saying, because the Dodgers are heavily linked to Scooble right now because they're unsure if Ohtani will be able to pitch. He's for the rest of the year.
And I wouldn't put Ohtani to pitch because that's what I think. I don't think I would, because Ohtani, I think he's amazing the way he recovers, right? He has those kind of surgeries and he finds a way to come back. Players when it comes to surgeries, don't do the things Ohtani does. Ohtani is a machine. He comes back and he looks so good at injuries, so it's great. But you have to think long term. You have to think long term about it.
I think he shouldn't. He's proved me wrong this year with pitching, but I mean he's too valuable hitting wise.
Hitting is the clutch for him.
Yeah.
If you lose him, you don't get either. Let's say they lose him because of pitching. They don't get either. They cannot take that risk.
They are definitely heavily in on Scooble, and they definitely have the players to get it done with, guys who could be ready next year. Jose DePaula, Mike Soroka, I think it's Emilio Morales. I hope the Yankees don't happen. I think with the Yankees, they would love Skubal, would be a dream target, but the rotation is solid enough with Cam Schlittler. You got to go really slow with that name because it can get really, dicey there. With Garrett Cole coming back, Max Fried, it's not a must. Now, if you add it, you wouldn't say no and not take a Tarek Skubal because pitching wins in the playoffs. It doesn't matter if it's in the post, in relief or starting pitching wins.
And they proven two times higher winner, so those doesn't come easy, So
yeah,
he knows the American League, he knows how to pitch. So
the one name I see that is a must that needs to be traded and a team that must go get him is Luis Ariz with the Giants. I think the Rays need to go get him now. Now it's funny. Vince Stanza finally hit me back up. I'm like, you want to come on? Haven't heard from him in months.
Oh, that should be good.
No, he's not coming on. He's in. I guess
he's
on in vacation.
He has a phone. Come on, man. Come on, you have a phone. That's the same guy who used to do the pregame show from the parking lot and the soccer practice. Come on, Evan. 5 minutes. Come on, just join us for 5 minutes.
He said he went to the Marlins game. He said, "How can the Expos not have a team with that crowd?"
Wow, that's kind of true. That's kind of true. But I can understand the hurt. But right now you think that the Marlins are also a tragic story. Samsung made the Marlins a tragic story. But that stadium deal is gonna haunt that franchise forever because it's rough. It's rough in Miami. So
it's not.
It is what it is.
Being finally getting to go there. It's not really. You build these stadiums like you saw the Braves did. You build it up and you have, you build the stadium and then you build stuff around that people can do. That stadium is definitely not have the attractions with the restaurants. They probably have great restaurants around the stadium. Not saying that, but like a nice.
That's a plus.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely it's probably a positive for the people because when the Marlins are there, but it's.
That's the reason why the Dolphins don't get a Super Bowl because they don't have that around it. So it should be a positive at least for the Marlins, right?
Yeah.
To have so.
It's a tough place to get. I remember getting off the toll road because they're all over in Miami. I might have got like 8 tickets that whole trip. And it's like, all right, get off, get in the left lane. And I got to go across 4 lanes of traffic to get all the way over in the stadium. I've also talked to Alex about this and going to watching the WBC, and obviously we did that WBC preview, which was a great episode. But going to that game and then watching the World Baseball Classic, which was majority in Miami and Houston, but Miami ended up hosting. The baseball fans are there. They were. If you watch the last couple, you watch every Dominican Republic game, it is sold out, standing room only. I walked out of the stadium 3.5 hours from the Nicaragua Dominican Republic game, and people are lined all the way up. And it wasn't just Dominican Republic fans. There was Nicaraguan fans there too. The passion for baseball is there. I've told my brother-in-law, his father's from Argentina, so they love soccer. He doesn't understand baseball at all. I'm like, you don't understand. You go to Dominican Republic. You go to Cuba. Well, you don't go to Cuba, but Cuba. You go to Puerto Rico. You go to Venezuela. Soccer's not it. Baseball is the number one sport in these places.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%.
In Miami, obviously you saw the fan base is there. I really wonder what they do because I know talking to Alex, he's the ownership and the front office has always they've won. 1 in 97 and sold off, 1 in 2003 and sold off. Now they're starting to make a little noise, have some very good young players. What are they going to do there? Are they going to stick with the form and try to make, because they're right there in the wild card hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, is this team going to win a World Series? No, but they definitely can make a wild card. Only 2 games back from that last spot right now. But I know, talking to Alex, he's like they've lost our trust because of what they've done from those years of always tearing the team down. We have good players, and we sell them off for young guys who are never gonna. Baseball is the biggest crapshoot in the world. You're going off all projections, like, hey, we think this guy's this 19-year-old, this 18-year-old high school is going to be good, but you don't know. We project them. I know I was a scout. It's all projection. So, I mean, I'd love to see it because, I mean, the fan base was there. Me going to the game, there. I learned my favorite Spanish word when was ponche. Oh, it was, and I was there at a noon game, and it was pretty good, packed game. But it's just I'd like to see it. The fan base is there. They just got to the ownership's just got to willing to put in a little money. I've never understood either. Miami, even though they say it's a small market, Miami is growing like hell. We lost you, Sammy. We lost you.
The problem with the demographics is that it's changing, but it's changing also because of the money. And usually the high income money doesn't usually go to ballparks. He doesn't go to baseball. Might probably prefer even soccer rather than baseball because the demographics are different. The problem I think with the Marlins, I'm a Braves fan, but I have a very soft spot. Everything Miami, I have a soft spot for the Marlins. I root for the Marlins even when they eliminated the Braves in some of those championships. But you have to look back when the fan base loved the Marlins. They loved their players, Ivan Hernandez, Dante Willis. They fell in love with the play. They had something to fight for. They had something to fight for those players. Right now, like you said, if you love a player, they find a way to trade them away. So that attachment, you keep losing that attachment, the validation as a fan of we're gonna keep the players you love, and if you support us. That pact was broken a while for the Marlins. They keep doing, and Derek Jeter, I gotta say, I know he's your guy, but he did a horrible job. The trust of the fan base took a huge hit with Derek Jeter. He did a horrendous job. So they had a lot to work for, but if they find that kind of player that the fan base can support and build around that player, I think that the Marlins fan base are gonna get that attachment back. We have to wait and see because right now you don't know if they're sellers or they're buyers. They probably don't do either. They probably don't have enough to to go all in to be buyers at the deadline, and they probably want to stand back to prove that they can make a run. So it should be interesting, but if you're a Marlins fan, you're basically in limbo because I don't think they're also gonna go all in this season either.
Yeah. I will say Derek Jeter did the Marlins a favor because that Giancarlo Stanton is a contract has been a hamstring.
That's the one thing he did. Absolutely.
Has been a hamstring. The guy he's had good Octobers with the Yankees when obviously was the only guy hitting in 2024 World Series, but it's just such a hamstring. He can only play one position. I've seen him. I remember game 5, he's rounding third, and he gets hosed out at home. He looks like he's on a leisurely jog. This guy was an All-American football player in high school, an All-American basketball player, an
athlete. Yes.
I mean, I know your back's not great, but I'm like, you are still an unbelievable athlete. If you he went to Notre Dame Sherman High School, which I've had the pleasure to scout a couple kids from Notre Dame. His name is all over every record book. It's not just baseball; it's everything. You see Michael Stanton everywhere. Which,
absolutely.
But I'm just like,
how long has it been since the Yankee won a World Series?
16, going on 16 years.
I'm not gonna pretend that I'm not happy about that, but it's been too long. Honestly, that kind of drought for a team like the Yankees, that. Well, I think the Reds have won 2 since then, right?
Yeah.
So that's even tough. So I think the Yankees right now are. You have a number 1 as a buyer at the deadline. They have to be buyers. This is the season they have to, they're 1.5 behind the race, right? I think they're close. So, they had to find a way to win the division. They had to find a way to go all in. George Steinbrenner must be turning in his grave right now, thinking like, this is the kind of season. Yeah, this is the kind of season that he would have pulled something. He would have pulled something. So it's weird. It's weird to see the Yankees in this spot. It's weird to see the Yankees in this spot.
If Steinbrenner was alive, Tarek Skubal and Mason Miller would be on the Yankees in a heartbeat.
Or both.
Yeah, both of them. He would have made that trade. But it's my issue. Well, I hate Aaron Boone. I think they're never. I don't think he's a good manager. I know what he's done. The last time they won was 2009. I'm not a fan of Aaron Boone. When he came in, Joe Girardi took us to the ALCS and then got fired, and that was 2017 with the trash can scandal with the Astros. Yeah. I do have a little different opinion. I get it. The Yankees still had a 3-2 lead going into Game 6 and 7 and still lost. They didn't hit. I'm like, you still got to be able to hit the ball. They didn't get the hits to win. So I'm like, yeah, it was tough because I have a lot of friends who are Dodgers fans, and
at least one hot bat. That's right. When everybody goes cold, when you have at least one good bat, one bat that is hot, you have a chance. But if everybody goes cold like that, you're dead. And that's what happens usually. Like I said, that's what happens usually to the Braves. The Braves go cold, and they start losing 1-0 on 2-1 games at the playoffs, and you say they were batting so well. So it happens, and it happened to the Yankees that time.
Yeah, it happens. They didn't hit. That's all that matters. You still got to hit. They didn't do that. I think Brian, as much as I love Brian Cashman, I think baseball has started passing him up a little bit. That it's
Brian Cashman is still the general manager of the Yankees. He's still the general manager. He must be really hated.
He's been there. He's been with the team
20 years, right?
Manager since 1998.
More than 20. Wow. So you're gonna turn 30 soon.
Yeah. So 1998.
That's amazing when you survive that.
What we have. Since his time, they won 98, 99, 2000, and 2009. So he had 4, but going on 16 years, they don't win this year. I don't see it happening this year. They have too many holes.
And if you look as a winning percentage, I'm pretty sure the Yankees are top 5 since Brian Cashman is the general manager. I'm pretty sure he's top 5 in winning percentage. But, but it's all about the championship. When you're the Yankees, it's championships of butts.
I still go back to Derek Jeter saying they asked Derek Jeter in an interview, what was your worst year? And he goes, every year I didn't win a World Series. He goes, those are my worst year. I was like, yeah, that's it. If you're not winning a World Series.
They usually were close, right? There's so many years that they were so close. When you have Mariano Rivera and Derek Jeter every single year, that they didn't win a championship was a disappointment because they were favorites or close to be favorites every single year those years.
I mean, I've looked back to 2003 when they lost to the Marlins, and even though they still had the core 4, I'm like, they had some Nick Johnson playing first, like Ramon Garcia. I'm like, this is a World Series team, but I think they have too many holes. They need a catcher. They have like a 5. Their catchers this year is like the lowest on base, like OPS is like 538, the lowest in Major League Baseball. Their shortstops are struggling. Anthony Volpe sucks. They need obviously relief pitching. They could use now. They're getting hit with the injury bug because no Bellinger's down for 4 to 6 weeks with a hamstring. Judge is a positive timeline, but they still haven't put a timeline on him coming back. So they said it looks like his I think it was his ribs are starting to heal, but they still don't know if he'll fully be back.
It's early, there's still some time, but he's such a key player. So
you definitely notice with the Yankees, even though I have my issues with Judge, the lineup changes so much when Judge is in just the threat of having Judge in the lineup changes everything for everybody else because he's so dynamic with the way his power can change the game in the swing of one swing.
Yeah, that's the beauty of baseball, right? When you have a clutch player, you have a power player. That's the difference. Again, that was the difference for the Braves in that 2021 World Series. So there, those homers at Houston, woof, that's
Right.
something
I didn't
you're
want to
gonna
see Houston
remember for the rest of your life.
And this is where baseball, and especially there, differs from every other sport. Is the Braves were a wild card team that year.
Yeah.
It's not, baseball is not like basketball or the NFL or hockey. It's a team that gets hot at the right time, like the Braves did. They were hot at the right time, went into October and won it all. Yes, we're seeing the Dodgers do it the last couple of years, but baseball is definitely, you get hot at the right time going into October, you can win a World Series, even if you are a wild card team. I got a quick question. I've had this argument. Getting off a little like, we're on the Hall of Fame discussion and getting off the deadline, but I want to get your opinion. What percentage of a player going, say, a great player going to the Hall of Fame, what do you weigh their regular season performance compared to their postseason performance?
Well, that's the interesting thing about baseball, because baseball, they're so school. They had their own set of rules, right? That's the difference. When you see the people that vote for the NFL Hall of Fame, they presented, they find a way. So many players go first ballot Hall of Famers. On baseball, they have a completely set of rules. Those guys have been there forever, and I think the way they do it, they go by everything they have done. I think they basically compare historically to everyone else is in the Hall of Fame. So I think that's their priority. For me, you have a guy like Tony Gwynn, for example. Tony Gwynn was one of the greatest hitters of all time. Ted Williams was one of the greatest hitters of all time. They didn't win championships, if I'm mistaken. Neither of them won championships. But no one can deny that both guys are Hall of Famers. So I do believe that for me, it's really important right now in the way we live life that those big moments are magnified. When you're a player, that basically are clutch in the postseason, that every single postseason you see that guy playing well for the team, those players get magnified. Those players have a better chance in every sport to basically go in the Hall of Fame first. And I think right now Major League Baseball is catching up to that. Like I said, football, if you are a guy who won multiple Super Bowls, it was debatable, but you got in some kind of way. Right now in baseball, I think right now it's gonna get magnified. The players that basically are clutch, the players that play in the postseason, compared to the yesteryears, have a better chance, because that's everything with society right now. We're living in a different society. We're like I call the microwave society. No one wants to wait. You have access to everything every single time. So right now, I think right now it's the same. The fact that the postseason, the media is so magnified, I think it helps also those players that play in the postseason. So I think it's changing. I think the rules to get into the Hall of Fame, the way the voters used to look at the players to get into the Hall of Fame, is going to be changing right now. So I think it's going to be more of who the player was, how big he was for the game, not only how he compares to other players from who are already in the Hall of Fame.
I definitely, I've got the argument on both sides, and I've got obviously, you look at guys like Tony Gwynn, who's right up there with Pete Rose as a hit king. Didn't have the postseason because of the team he played on. You have a guy like Ken Griffey Jr., who didn't get a lot of postseason experience, but he's a Hall of Famer, unbelievable player. But I'm looking at it like I get in arguments with my Dodgers friends all the time about Shohei and Aaron Judge. And they're like, well, they're so great in the regular season. I'm like, well, Aaron Judge's postseason average is like 235. I'm sorry, like that. When I'm looking at a player, I don't look at it as, I'm like, how did you perform in the moments when the lights shine brightest? You look at Ohtani. Ohtani's batting average in the postseason last year was 206. He's a 230 career hitter in the postseason. So I'm like, yes, he's got great offensive numbers during the regular season, but when did he shine bright? Now that could change because now he's with a team that's going to be making the postseason year in and year out. Obviously, he was with the Angels. But I'm like, when the lights were shining brightest, did you perform?
Yeah, but again, the one thing, and you said it earlier, the one thing that baseball has that I don't think any other sport has, maybe basketball, is the clutch. Is the clutch factor. You can be 0 for 4, but if you're the ninth and the runner is on second and you pull that run in, that's the player they're gonna remember. That's the player they're gonna remember. And Otani is that kind of player. But when he can be batting 205, but if he goes to bat in the ninth and you have a chance to win, you either expect him to get the hit or the homer, or he does. Because that's the kind of player that those players again are magnified. People are not gonna remember that he went 0 for 4 before. He see the next day. That's all they're gonna see. They're gonna see that video on X, on YouTube, on media of how he won the game for them. So people are not gonna remember probably that he batted 204. People are gonna remember that he made the winning homer. Right now, everything's changed. Yeah, because you are a guy who are basically an old school guy like me. You look at the stats, you go to the details. The fundamentalists, the old school guys, that's all they do. The stats, the batting sheets, how they like a chess piece. How they put the base. That's one of the greatest things about baseball. It's a chess match. You have to counterpart the other part probably more than any other sport. And and the stats are there, the batting average, the change. Every single play has a meaning. Every single stat has a meaning. But right now, like I'm saying, what I talked before. Right now, everything is changing because people want instant gratification. They don't want to go to to. It used to be so much fun when we were kids. Having the batting sheet and doing it writing and stuff. It used to be fun. But right now, people go to their phones while they're watching their phone. You see most baseball games, you'll see a lot of people on their phones, even when they're there. So it's a completely different era. It's a completely different way to see in the game. So it's gonna be interesting in so many aspects of the game. And like I said, you're gonna have players that are not Babe Ruth, but they're Babe Ruthian when they hit the winning run.
Well, before we wrap up, Sammy, let's now rapid fire. It's just going to be your guess. So not even one like just what do you think? Biggest trade during this deadline?
I'm sorry to tell you, but I think Scoba's going to go to the Dodgers. Just because of the fact that the Yankees will have to break the bank to do it. The Dodgers will do whatever it takes. Because again, they don't need a Far Simpson. They can buy everybody. They already have. They don't care about but the way I don't remember, but the last time I checked, it's been a while. The Dodgers still have one of the best farm systems in the whole Major League Baseball.
They might be. I don't
even
know
with everything they've done.
It might be top 5. I know they're top 5.
Yes, they're top 5. So and they're how many 30 teams, and you're still top 5. So. That says a lot. After all those trades, after all they've done, they still have a top 5. I don't think the Braves are top 5 right now. So, and the Braves, you have a great farm system. So teams' time has changed. So, but that again, that's the same thing as the Yankees. When the Yankees were good, they did every single trade, but they had the best, like you said, they had the best farm system. They had a lot of Ingram players. The Dodgers don't care about that because they'll. That first fucking picks, they don't care. They're gonna trade everyone as long as they keep.
I think being a guy who was in baseball, I think the problem with the farm system is you do so much research on this guy to draft him. You fall in love with your own prospects that this guy's going to work out. You hold on to him too long, and by the time they don't work out, we hold on to him, now bring him up, didn't work out. I'm like, sometimes just ship him off. A team like the Dodgers, a team like the Yankees, really, a lot of these young players need the time to break through slumps. And I've said that, on East 10th Street Boys with Bobby and Alex. I mean, like, it's good for the Marlins to have a lot of young guys, but teams who are competing for World Series can't afford, like the Braves, like the Yankees, like the Dodgers, you can't afford to bring the young guy up and have an 0 for 20 slump. And you have an 0 for 20 slump, I'm sorry, you're going to AAA, you're on the bench. Like, you can't afford to do it, but these young guys need the time. The Dodgers just like, hey, let's just get rid of them. They might work out, they might not. Baseball might not even be back next year.
That's a whole different show. Because,
wow. I mean,
but there's something that the Braves have done correctly. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is that they know when to bring their players up. That historically the Braves have done so well, knowing when they have to do it. You have to be patient, but you can also you have to know if you have a good player in that position, you have to move him. You have to move him. You cannot keep it there because those things don't happen. The Braves have been very, very smart, very, very smart on when to move their players up to the Major League Baseball, to the Major League. So I think you have to do it. And the Yankees have been very, very good doing that. Maybe not recently. Maybe that's the problem. And the Dodgers don't have that problem because they trade up everybody, so they have.
The Dodgers definitely they'll get them and trade them away, and we'll sign someone else because it's an attractive destination. You're in Los Angeles. The team's winning, but you're in LA. The weather's beautiful.
And that fan base is revigorated. They've always been a very good fan base, but they've always been a very proudful fan base. But right now, they're insufferable. Those Dodgers fans.
So being the guy, I will say this: the Dodgers, and this is definitely true in a lot of warm weather places, such as Miami, such as Los Angeles. When the team is doing good, the fans will be there. But because it's so nice, there's so much other things to do. So but the one thing that I don't think Dodger fans, I will say, they've always been a very passionate fan base. They show up win or lose. The Dodgers was always selling the stadium out. Very passionate fan base. Not a lot of people know the history of Chavez Ravine. It's not the best history in the world, but
have you seen how they modernized that stadium, which basically is one of the oldest right now, but they modernized it so incredibly well with the tickets, with the convenience stores, the parking lot. The parking is usually brutal. You have to pay so much money to park it basically to go to a game. But they've been very, very creative. They've been very creative. Compared to a team like Oakland, who basically lost their athletics because they same weather, same area, good teams, but they could not find. And a fan base, the Oakland used to have a very good fan base.
Yeah, 100%.
And they lost everything, so you have to be smart about it.
I will say the one downside: the parking situation at Chavez Ravine is very bad. It takes about an hour to get out of that place. It's not really, it's not in the best neighborhood and not easy to get out. You definitely the parking's bad. I will say the Dodger fan base are very passionate. They love their Dodgers, not like the Lakers or the Clippers, or obviously we just got the Rams and Chargers back in Los Angeles, but they show up and they've always showed up for the Dodgers.
Dodger fans have a national fan base. They still have a lot of fans in New York because it goes from father to son. A lot of the Dodger fans still live in New York. It's amazing. They have the Cubs, the Braves, the Yankees, the Dodgers if you ask me, are the four teams that basically have a national fan base for different reasons. So, of course, the Cubs from WUAM and the Braves from TBS, and the Yankees are the Yankees, and the Dodgers are the Dodgers. But for me, those are the four fan base they have a national fan base, not compared to none. So the Dodgers have a local strong fan base, a national fan base who travels to the games. So the future is bright in that way for them. So that's a huge advantage.
Well, after this deadline, after Monday, going into Tuesday, do you have an AL favorite to make the World Series?
Oh boy, Tampa Bay, Tampa has a reason to inspire, right? They went through so much, right now, and they has I think when you have something to play for, you usually find a motivation. At least I like that. They because they don't believe in us. They think you're trash, and they get things to their head to be motivated every single year. I think Tampa has a reason to be motivated right now. Everything that
Yeah.
happened with that stadium. I think that the Yankees. I don't know. I don't believe they know how to be the underdog. That's something that always gonna kill the Yankees. The Yankees are very good when they're ahead. They're very good when they're confident of what they are. That usually the best Yankee way when they're supposed to win and they win. When they're the underdog, I don't think I my at least that's my opinion. Yeah, of course you're the Yankee fan here. You know your team better than anyone. So, but I think the Yankees are not used to be the underdog. And I don't think they won that title either. So they will have to search. They will have to go a couple of games ahead of Tampa for being to cement that division, and they will have to go into the playoffs hot for be that team to be the team that basically go
I,
against the World Series and
I,
find a way to beat the Dodgers because I think the Dodgers are going to win the World
I'm
Series
with
again.
you. So being a Yankee, obviously, I want to see the Yankees win the AL. Obviously, the one thing I do agree with you, the Rays do have a lot to play for. They just got a new ownership group who is
Yes.
willing now is saying they want the team to stay in Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
They're
definitely going to
willing
stay.
to spend money. They want a new stadium. Hopefully, if we're talking about Badfield, Tropicana's right up there with the Oakland Coliseum. The only positive about Tropicana is it has a dome, but it
Now
is,
has because I don't they have a dome back.
they got ripped off. That was
Yes.
120
That's
mile per hour winds.
ironic, right? That basically might be what saves baseball in Tampa. If they don't lose that stadium, they don't get that roof on. I don't think that they move them for them to be there. Probably they go to Orlando. But the fact that they lost their stadium and those fans went to a minor league stadium for basically a year, that reorganized that fan base and the hunger. And they think that they I saw a couple of reports about and I think I saw a report on television about how that stadium is a killer for Tampa because basically it's nothing more there. It's not only the stadium is bad, it's where the stadium is. To get there is away from basically where everybody is, the traffic and stuff. So if they find a way to put that stadium where it should be in Tampa, they're gonna be a powerhouse.
I think they're trying to go to Ybor City.
Hi Steve. That's where Steve Haddon lives. So that's I'm thinking he's gonna love that for the traffic.
That's where they're trying to go. But apparently, a couple members on the city council said they're going to shoot it down because Tampa has more money to spend their money on something else. I think they should go to Tampa. Obviously, it's a Tampa Bay Rays. They're in St. Petersburg. They're not in Tampa, which I think it's a bigger metro and would help the team out. I also enjoy watching this Rays team is kind of like an old school team. They don't beat you with a lot of power minus Junior Caminero. They play small baseball. They beat you, and there's not too many guys. So I'm with you on that. I will say the Yankees aren't used to being the underdog. They have never won a World Series coming from the wild card spot in the history of the New York Yankees. So they have to win the division. I think they have just too many holes. Catching's a hole. Relief pitching's a hole. Defense on the left side of the infield is a hole. They have too much swing and miss in their lineup. I don't see it happening. But the AL is very weak this year. Very weak, as you see that the AL West. Texas is leading right now with one game over 500. Texas is 55 and 53. The White Sox are 4 games over 500 right now, and they're leading the AL Central. The two teams, the Rays and the Yankees are the top 2 teams, with Boston starting to, make a little comeback. But the AL is wide open this year because it's not very strong. But moving to the NL side, because the NL is very interesting. After this dust settles with the deadline, do you have an NL favorite? Are we just going with the
Yeah, the Dodgers are the favorites. Milwaukee will be interesting, and of course we'll have to wait and see in the Braves. You have to see if they make any moves. But the Brave, but that injury bug that the Braves had, they get someone and they lose someone. So uh, if they need to win the division. If they don't win the division, it's over for the Braves. I truly believe that. So Milwaukee should be interesting. The Phillies might get hot. So and the Cubs, the Cubs are fine. Look, we need to find a way to to overtake the Brewers. So it's gonna be interesting. But Milwaukee might slip in. Be something no one expected. But still, the Dodgers are still the favorites, and hopefully the Braves made a couple of moves. They get hot at the right time, and we have to wait and see.
Well, speaking of Milwaukee, they're only one game back of the Dodgers for 67-41. No one saw that coming because they usually always. I always count out the Brewers every year because they always trade off their big players. They're about to hit free agencies. I'm like, that's not the year. They do it with the Damas. They did it with Burns. They did it with Peralta. And they just every year did make me look like an idiot on those calls. It's just, we're getting in the dog days here. So these injuries are piling up. Just getting them back at the right time. But the NL is going to be interesting. I could definitely see, even though the Dodgers are the favorites, I see the Cubs, if they need to make one or make a move here, add a starting pitching, they can do that. The Brewers, the Braves, the Phillies are. I think the Phillies, it's their time. They need to win. It's their window is rapidly closing for the Phillies with the age of their players.
Yes,
they need to win.
That's why they make my moves. That's 100% why the reason why, like we talked before, they had to find a way to make a move. Because when that window started to close, if you don't move around, you're not going to do it, and they're not going to be sellers. They have to move all in. They have to, because like I said, that window is there. If they don't take advantage of the window right now. And they're not going to be sellers, Russ. They're not going to be sellers. They have to go all in right now.
No, it's the players are starting to get older. Harper's, their window. This. I think the majority of all these teams. I think me being a Yankees fan, there's one or two guys minor league guys that I don't want to see. But with baseball being a question mark, go for broke. Because
you know who will be an underdog? The Mariners, because the Mariners, I think they have the pitching to survive with those playoffs. The Mariners can be a dangerous team. Seattle, they have the kind of fan base, they have the kind of pitching, and when the playoffs starts, I wanted the Mariners to go to the World Series last year. Sorry, Evan, but that city deserves that kind of spotlight. They supported a team for so long. So I would love for the Mariners to go to the World Series last year. So, but that's got a team that with that kind of pitching and that kind of fan base, I don't know.
It's a wide open. That division is wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the Mariners are 2 games back, and they're 2 games under 500, 2 games back. And they definitely have the starting pitching to do it. I think they have a lefty who got drafted last year from LSU who's just ripping through minor league system, Cade Anderson. But they definitely have the pitching to do it. But I mean, the 2 teams in the ALCS last year, you have the Blue Jays who made the World Series 50 and 59, and you got the Mariners 2 games under 500. Do you have a World Series matchup?
Which one I would like, or which one is going to be?
Let's go both. Okay.
Honestly, I think it's going to be a 2004 rematch. I think it's going to be the Dodgers and the Yankees. It makes too much sense. Those are the teams with the money, the team with the power, those team with the powerhouse. I think that they're gonna find a way to be there. I would love to be wrong. I would love for the Braves to play the Yankees or anyone else for that matter.
Those are some great times. I mean, I know the.
Oh man, but I need to come on the winning side because I don't want to lose to the Yankees again. It still hurts when I think the 96 World Series, it still hurts. You get a 2-0 lead and you lose the series. That still hurts. So I think that's the one that's gonna be. I would like to be the Braves not the Yankees. I'm sorry, Ross, but I would like to be the Braves and someone else. I like the Mariners would be awesome. There'd be something like that. I don't. I don't think, of course, it's gonna be Toronto. I would love to be Toronto in the World Series. That would be awesome. Uh, I don't like the Red Sox because Boston fans are a pain in the ass. So I don't want to take that chance. So uh, White Sox, are leading right now. White Sox would be interesting. The Rangers are always interesting. I don't want to play the Astros. We already beat them. So something like the Mariners would be awesome. Tampa will be kind of cool too, but it makes too much sense. If I could pick anyone, it will not be the Yankees. I can tell you for that. I'm not in line for taking my shot on that kind of suffering. So I'll be honest. I want to avoid that at all costs. It's not me being a coward. It's too much PSD inside of me. It still hurts from 1996. So I'd
Can
rather
you
go
get
something.
the amount of Hall of Fame players in '96 on that field on both sides?
John Wetland. Mariano was the settlement, right, for the Yankees. I think
Yeah.
he was the settlement. Andrew Jones and so many others. Those teams were loaded. Those teams were
Maddox,
loaded.
Smoltz, Glavine,
Maddox, Smoltz,
Jr.
Glavine. I mean, you think you only won World Series with Maddox, Smoltz, and Glavine? Yeah, Steve Avery too was a very good pitcher this time. Oof. Ken Merker, who used to be a very good pitcher, the fifth star for the Braves, he was very good too. So,
Yeah.
Fred McGriff, wow, Marquise Grissom, so many good players. So to only win one championship, it still hurts. But at least we won one. We're not the Buffalo Bills baseball because we won one. We won one. So I feel good.
I still Fred McGriff always.
I love Fred McGriff.
I don't know if you're a Seinfeld guy.
Yeah.
And George Steinbrenner comes to George Costanza's house because they can't find him, and he's like, "How the hell you trade Fred McGriff for cheap?"
Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Who was that? Frank Costanza or George? Who said that?
That was Frank. That was Jerry Stiller. Who's
he's so good.
He's so hilarious.
So good. But those teams were low. I remember the day we traded for Fred McGriff. That's how much I enjoyed that and how much I love that guy. I remember that the day they traded for McGriff, there was a fire at the stadium at one of the booths, and the stadium caught fire. They were doing batting practice. The stadium caught fire the day the first day on Fred McGriff. So that's one of the reasons I will remember that. And Fred McGriff came to the Braves and he was on fire. What a play! McGee's Grissom too. They did some very smart trades, and they won the 1995 World Series. So, like I said, being the underdog, because nobody remembers that when you lose so many World Series, you expect it to be a favorite, but no, the Indians were the favorites to win that World Series. So we made it even better.
Yeah. Well, Sammy, I know we're gonna wrap up here soon, but I know we're getting close to your time. What do you got cooking for us? We're almost at the end of July. We're getting close to football season. What do you got cooking for us going on with everything?
Well, Dolphin season is here. Talking about suffering, Dolphin season is here. With the Fins TV crew, we had Fins TV on Tuesday. We're gonna probably during this part of the training camp. We're gonna go 1 week and then go by the other, and we're gonna go back to every single week when the season starts September 8th on Fins TV. So thank you for that. Yeah, and of course, every Thursday we are brother, our pal Bobby Finstock on the flagship of FTSN Finstock today.
Well, I know a thing or two about pain and suffering too. So you've got your 25 years of no playoff wins. I've got my 15 years of having making the playoffs. It's the big argument I look on now. Which one's worse? I'm like, they're both pretty damn
That's
bad.
why because it's a matter of when. Let's be honest. It doesn't matter when the Yankees win a World Series again. It's gonna be even sweeter. It's gonna be even sweeter because I'll tell you what, that 2001 championship. That was really, really sweet. That was really, really sweet. So you're gonna win one, I'm pretty sure about that. But when, that's the question with the Dodgers right now. And the LA, the LA is usually a trip because it's a Yankees and someone else trying to take the spot. It's not the same.
I was going off you said the Dolphins. You've got what, 25 years. My Jets have 15 years of no playoff drought.
Oh man.
So
that's suffering. that's suffering. But again, that 2001 championship, 2021 championship for the Braves was very, very sweet after so long. So, enjoy the process. That's the way I put it. Enjoy the process.
New York Yankees, we don't. This is Georgetown. We win. George, you don't put up pennants. You don't put up pennants. You put up World Series banners, not pennants. So I'm sick of it. But want to thank everybody who's tuning in. Vince, Sammy for coming on, talking a little trade deadline special tonight. I'm Russ Morgan here with Vince, Sammy on FTSN. This is On Deck. Hope everybody has a great night. Hopefully Bobby's on. I texted Bobby. Never mind.
Let's end it.
I was like, hey, we've got like 5 minutes, Bobby. I
can end it. Should I end it?
You can just do that.
Good night, everybody.